Hello, Sachin. Welcome to Entrepreneur Talks podcast run by Women Flakes. I'm so excited to have you here today with me.
Thank you. Great to meet you. Nice to be here.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate you having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know. We're having something is going on with the connection, but hopefully we're going to go well. So, Sachin, before we start with my questions that I got for you, can you tell me where you're talking from?
Sure, I'm from New York City.
Okay, good. How is the weather? What time is there? Because I'm in London, UK.
Okay, it's 8:30 in the morning. It's a cold, brisk morning here in January. I actually try now to just keep the heat on and relax, because once you go outside, the wind tunnels in New York just kind of take over.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Sounds cold. It is.
Yeah.
In the UK, in London as well, it's cold, but you sound much colder. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. So, tell me in 3 words, how would you describe yourself?
Sure, I'd say resilient, perseverance, and courage. I think as an entrepreneur, it takes a lot of just bravery to even be out there doing your thing. And it takes a non-stop kind of persistence and continuous fall and rise, right? Every time you fall, you have to get back up. Okay. So I'd say those are the kind of things that drive me forward.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. Very good. Thank you so much. So, and talking about entrepreneurs, what exactly do you do? Because I was about to ask you straight away projects, but let's tell the listeners what you do, Sachin.
Sure. It's a bit of a tricky question, only because I do a few different things. So I do work full-time kind of in direct-to-consumer e-commerce. And then as my side hustle, or one of my many side hustles, me and my wife actually started our own brand. It's called Any Baby. And we sell a specialized baby product. Oh. And then on the other side, I also work on consulting entrepreneurs like myself. Okay. People who have small businesses and they want to have really strong digital presence and a good e-commerce store. I help them build those. I tell them, how to work with the different tech backend to make things work. Also the proper design and the proper UX to make sure customers actually convert. So depending on who you ask, I do different things.
Oh, wow. Yes, I can see. But when it comes to e-commerce, lately, e-commerce, it comes up on a lot of companies, like e-commerce. Everyone has an e-commerce. Can you, as a professional and as an expert, can you explain e-commerce? What is it? The store?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So imagine you're out on the street and you walk into a store. This is basically the same thing except online. So I always tell people, how would you set up your store? Would you have clothes, thrown all over the place? Would you have, neat stacks there? So the same kind of presence and aesthetic that you would have in a store physically, it's kind of how I tell my clients, like, this needs to be doing on the end as well. When someone walks into your store, meaning when they go to www.whatever.com, they're actually walking into your store, right? And I think that first impression that you give folks has to be super important, very thoughtful as well. So I always tell people that e-commerce is simply taking your physical storefront, putting it online, and having the same type of experience as much as possible. So I know it's hard sometimes if you have, let's say, a fragrance brand, people can't smell through the computer. But that's where you have to kind of have a little bit more storytelling, or perhaps kind of explain in a little bit more detailed way than you would in a store. So it's just kind of understanding the nuances and the differences between digital versus physical.
And working as well on the image, because like fragrances, for example, you need to have really good images to be able to catch people and say, oh, I want that, smells good, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also nowadays video has been really great.
And video,
So,
yeah.
taking a kind of a page out of like Instagram and a lot of other social media companies, customers are absorbing and digesting video at a rate that they have never done before, right? So if you're able to integrate video into your e-commerce experience, that just takes it to another level.
Yeah.
When you walk into a store, you don't necessarily have curated videos and images that bring out emotion. And I think what's really cool about a website is that you can actually tell from a customer's behavior what they're doing, how they feel about your website, and what you can do differently to make it better.
Yeah.
So,
Very
really
cool. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you for this explanation. Because these days, nowadays, we listening a lot. I do listen a lot, and I do say, "Oh, you have your e-commerce store, your store." I'm like, not for myself, because we do actually, as a Women Flakes company, we also are on the development right now of our e-commerce. We don't have any, how I say this, we do not have any physical items, because our courses are coaching. Everything can be, actually everyone can create this e-commerce, depending, no matter if it's physical or no physical. It's just the way we're gonna bring it out. And
yeah.
we are taking carefully about our e-commerce. But thank you so much. So, and what type of entrepreneurial projects you've been undertaking, or you've been doing?
Sure. So I think I define entrepreneurship in a couple of ways. One is when you you start a business, you create a physical product, and you start shipping that product to your customers, right? So that's one, you solve the problem as an entrepreneur. And so for me, one endeavor is the baby business that me and my wife have done. We created a specialized playsuit for babies, and that's like a custom product that we took 2 years to make. It took a lot of time to really put that together. Then on the other side, my consulting agency technically is kind of an entrepreneurial endeavor because it is its own business. But what I'm doing is helping other entrepreneurs grow. So, those entrepreneurial endeavors, I'd say, have been very interesting because I'm able to work across multiple industries. So, I've worked on, let's say, a fertility company. I've also worked on a soap company. I've worked on a deodorant brand, right? So all these different companies in the direct-to-consumer space, it's so interesting because you can really get all different types of customers, all different types, all across the world. And it's very nuanced depending on who the customer is, right? So that's been, I think, the most fun for me is just learning how customers react to different products and services and brands, and how do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them coming back and continuing to grow that relationship with them? So luckily, I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of different entrepreneurial projects and owners.
That's really good. That's really good. And it's very interesting because at the same time we get to know people from different types of companies, and we get to know their way of being, because they breathe what they do, and that gives another as well ideas. By the way, when did you start your baby? 2 years ago, right?
So we actually started the project maybe 3 years ago. We launched it last year.
Okay.
And so we actually have a new product launching in 2 days.
Oh wow!
So it's exciting. There's always something happening when you're in the entrepreneurial world.
Yeah, totally. So you said you have new item, but it's part of the baby business?
That's right. So we created a playsuit that has cushioned knees and elbows. So when babies are crawling, they have hardwood floors in New York. So for us, it was very much what we saw happening with a lot of babies in our family. And we just didn't understand why baby clothing hadn't caught up to babies. And, so we created a very specialized fabric. It's made with peppermint, actually, and some fabrics nowadays have been tried with bamboo. But we went completely custom and decided to do something totally different. So it has like antimicrobial properties, it has moisture wicking, and it's just a highly technical outfit for babies, which most people never really think about. So we've received really, really positive feedback from our customers, and As a husband and wife team, our budget was very limited. So we're only able to do kind of one thing at a time. But so far, slow and steady. That's kind of the entrepreneur journey as well.
Yeah, that's the key. And do you have babies?
So we actually don't have a baby yet, but we were inspired by my niece. My sister had a baby. And so we were kind of babysitting, and actually my wife, she had 3 nieces and nephews in 1 year. So we just had baby overload. Yeah.
So you don't need more babies now. For now.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really good, because that's true experience, and that's beautiful. Because you're seeing the babies and you think, why do they have this? Okay, let's think about it. Let's produce something for them, and at the same time you have them to try on them without your family, so they can. That's amazing. That's really good. Wow, well done.
Yeah, we had 4 or 5 prototypes, and we sent them all to our nieces and nephews. Like, hey, try this on. Let us know how it is.
And the best, you don't need to look for other companies before you can go into your family. That's really good. So, and I see that you are you have a couple of businesses, which I love it to see, which is part of the entrepreneur life. We always discover things and we create more and more. What would be the best advice for entrepreneurs getting started?
Sure. I think the one thing I would say is just to start. So one big issue that I think a lot of entrepreneurs have is in their head. They think, I want to do this, it'd be like this, and they create this massive plan, but it's all in their head.
Yeah.
So I think getting that out on a piece of paper to start, and just doing something, just do it. And I hate to use Nike's phrase, but you just have to do it. You have to start somewhere. Brainstorm. I write down ideas. I talk to my friends and family about them, but then I actually don't do anything. And then maybe a year later, 2 years later, so I'll hear about it. Oh, look at this person, they launched X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, wait, I had that same exact idea. Why didn't I do it? Right? And I think that's the biggest problem I've always had in my career, was just do it. You'll either fail or you'll succeed. But 9 times out of 10, if you fail, at least you're going to learn. Why did I fail? What can I have done differently? And what can I do better next time? So I've already had a couple of failed businesses, but that's not going to stop me from starting 10 more, right? Yeah. So that's, I think, the spirit that you have to have as an entrepreneur, is just start.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And in terms of a digital strategy, what would you advise people to do? How?
Sure. So I actually built an entire Udemy course for entrepreneurship and direct-to-consumer e-commerce businesses. So it's a complete process from A to Z, and I've been working in e-commerce for about 15 years now. So I thought, let me put all my knowledge in a really easy course, and I've had over 120 students now from dozens of countries around the world. And the feedback I've gotten back from them has been great, because essentially what they say is, I didn't know what to do, and your course basically outlined for me. And what I always tell people is, have a checklist. There's so much you have to do when you start a business, right? And most people just want to start selling their products, but take care of, some things you have to do. There's a lot of boring stuff in a business that you just have to take care of before you get to the fun and sexy stuff online or digital, right? Or your social media campaigns and things like that. So for me, I've always kind of taught people, build the foundation first, because once you have a strong foundation, then you can automate on top of it and you can start to run, right? Instead of having to crawl and walk. So from an e-commerce perspective, what I would tell folks is, make sure you join the right platform. For example, Shopify. Shopify is a great platform for starting an e-commerce business. Where they have limitations, they also have plugins with different apps. So, where you feel like you might not have, let's say, the best email strategy, you can actually plug into an app that helps you automate your email So let's say a customer comes to your website, they add something to their cart, and then they leave. Well, you want to make sure you send them a cart abandoned email, right? So that you say, hey, it looks like you were shopping before, but you left this in your cart. You want to come back and check out. So those kinds of automations is not something that you want to have to be doing on your own every day, right? You don't want to pull a list and say, here's all the people that, dropped off in the checkout. I'm going to go email them.
That's good.
Instead, worry about how do you improve your roommate that you do every day.
Good. Thank you. My connection or your connection, I don't know, something is going on. I don't know if you could feel like your voice was breaking down really, really at the end. But I could understand that it's essential to create things before we go and expose ourselves as a brand, as a company, on the background, because I agree totally, because we do have that work. We do create or help other companies with that kind of work as well. And I always see that it's a lot of companies, they already are on platforms like Instagram or Facebook, but then you go there and it's empty. It's no quality. There is not a link. They don't know anything, but they're already there. And that doesn't do too much. And they need to go into this kind of course like the one you just mentioned that you provide. We don't provide a course, we just provide assistance like consultation. Where people can find your course? It's on your website?
Sure, yeah. So it's on my website. It can also be found on udemy.com, which is they have all tons of online courses. It's called the Entrepreneurship and Digital Strategy Academy. And it should, take somebody a few days maybe to go through if they spend a lot of time on it, or maybe a few weeks if they watch it maybe, spread out.
Fantastic.
And I can share a link with you as well.
I know Udemy. I know that place. Coaching there. That's really good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I would love to have these links on the description of the podcast for my listeners, because I know your website will be there, but the link for Udemy or even the Udemy as well would be really good, because people can just go straight and get into the course and find out more information and pay for the course if it's for paying or it's for free. That would be great if it's possible, Sachin. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to provide the link. It is a paid course, but I also offer 30 minutes of free consultation. So I'm happy to work with people if they have questions after.
Okay, fantastic. Can you, now I'm seeing, I don't know what this means, but I do have this note on my, I have this on my notes. UX. What is UX?
Oh, so UX is a user experience.
I was like, what should I say about this? User experience. Okay, interesting. UX. Okay.
Yeah, so the reason I love UX is because customers, there are certain things that they tell you, but even though they don't tell you, you can see what they're doing, right? So on a website, there are some certain tools that can show you whether someone has scrolled down your page, or if they've clicked on certain buttons, or where they dropped off in a conversion experience. So one thing that I work with UX designers is to make sure that we're taking into account all of those data points and understanding what is the consumer actually doing, right? And how do we get them from the start to the finish in the most efficient way and with the best conversion rate. So that's all about UX design. And there are some certain principles that are best practices that I think people need to follow. I'll give you one quick example. In a checkout experience, when you go to a checkout, normally you have to put in email, password, shipping address, billing address, credit card, all that stuff, right? It could take up to like 5 minutes if you're not a fast typer. But if you integrate something like Apple Pay, then all you have to do is you look at your phone, you double click, and you've already paid for it. It has your credit card, it has your shipping and your billing. And so that increases your conversion rate because people can just buy it within 10 seconds, right? So little things like that is how UX design can be so important to your conversion.
Very good point. That's a really good point because it makes things easier. Sometimes people get a bit not like unsure if they're gonna buy or not, just for the fact that you need to fill up details. And more people is more afraid or even just they want things faster because everything now is quick, right?
Yeah. Even the page load time of your website. So there's a statistic by Google that says for every second that you improve your page speed times, you can actually increase conversion by 1%. And when you add that up over time, it actually makes a pretty big difference. Or the simple fact that nowadays all of us shop on our phones. So if you go back maybe 10, 15 years ago, you maybe were getting 30% of your traffic on your phone from mobile devices. And now it's about 70-75% of traffic is coming from mobile devices.
Yeah.
So think about your design experience of your website. If you're designing for a laptop screen versus an iPhone, you're missing your customer, right? So from a UX perspective, every website I work on, we start with designing on your phone view first, and then we open it up to the laptop view.
Mm-hmm. So. Interesting. That's interesting. Another interesting explanation. I love it. Oh, thank you so much. That's really good. And now, Sachin, for come to the end of our conversation, can you tell me how can people connect with you and find more about your work? Of course, we already spoke about your free consultation, your website, Udemy, but where else they can find you?
Sure. I'm one of those people that I'm happy to network and meet new folks like yourself, right, Yola? So people can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on Instagram. My handle is Love Project, LUV Project. They can go to my website, sachinbhargava.com, and I'm happy to speak with them. And as you mentioned, 30-minute consult. I like to look at different companies, and I'm happy to hop on a call with folks and just give them a quick audit. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. I hope we can speak again in the future. And again, appreciate you having me on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Me too. In name of William Flicks, Entrepreneur Talks podcast, we wish you all the best, continuously growing and improving other companies or helping, supporting as well. And of course, we're gonna keep in touch and probably another podcast in a year.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to. Definitely.
Yeah, because we're gonna come to we're gonna celebrate 12 seasons very soon, and I will bring some people back because I think it would be good. I don't know, I just decided for 12 seasons. On the 12th we're gonna go on recap with some of the companies, and
that's amazing.
We've been able to.
Congratulations, making it to 12 seasons.
Yeah, it's 12 seasons. Every season is 12 episodes, so we are about to reach that. So that's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very grateful for everyone that is doing that. So I thank you once again and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good day.